Okay, guys, boy, I bet you don't know what's coming up now. Not that video you've seen all over Facebook or anything, or the only thing everybody's talking about, or, man, I don't think I've ever seen anything go quite this viral. Of course, we're raising awareness, though, aren't we? But everybody knows what the video of the Ice Bucket Challenge is for on Facebook. It's for ALS, or Lou Gehrig's disease and all that stuff. That's fine and dandy. I don't care about any of that. I'm going to raise awareness on something else that you haven't heard before, because this one almost slipped through the crack. You know I gotta make it political, but let's have some fun anyway. Now, there's a couple things I want to talk about with this Ice Bucket Challenge, the mistakes people have made. A, doing it, because all it really does is get you wet. It doesn't really help anybody out, wink. But in all honesty, when you're going to make the ice bucket, you don't put the ice in and then dump it over your head. That doesn't give it enough time to really cool down the water. So this water's been cooling down for a long time now. It's been cooling down for about at least a good solid 10 minutes. So let's give her a stir, so it's nice and cold and stuff like that. Second of all, do it with an actual bucket. Don't do it with a cup. Third, I don't know. Let's pour this bucket of ice water over my head, and I'll get on to what I want to tell you about, because this is another news story. You know, some of these almost slip through the cracks, and, oh no, this is supposed to be for ALS awareness and stuff. We're not supposed to make it political. But everybody's got one of those videos, and I like to make things political. So here we go. I'm going to dump this bucket of ice water over my head. Why? I don't know. Oh, here we go. Goodness me! Well, that was fun. But this is what I want to raise awareness for. Hypothermia. You may not know it, but when your body temperature dips below 98.6 degrees, that's hypothermia. Why am I talking about hypothermia? Because it can be very dangerous. Scuba divers sometimes deal with it. I'm a scuba diver. If we don't have the right exposure protection, we can deal with that stuff. What does this have to do with anything? Can you get hypothermia from this challenge? Probably not a big deal. But what I do know is hypothermia exists. And if you get cold enough, you could have problems. Why am I talking about this? That's how I'm gonna die! What? Where the hell did that come from? You may think that's crazy, but it's not. Let me tell you why it's not. You may know of a guy named James Brady. James Can't Dance Brady. He was Reagan's press secretary. He actually died recently. Hooray, right? I know. But hold your enthusiasm for just a moment. His death, this part is absolutely absurd. His death was ruled a homicide by the gunshot he got, what, 30 years ago? Seriously, they actually ruled it that. Now, you don't think that's any sort of politicizing because, I mean, he was the founder of the biggest anti-gun organization in America. No, I'm sure it's not that. I'm sure he actually died of a gunshot 30 years later. Good luck proving that in any sort of a court of law. But, hey, they ruled it as that, and I guess the drones were like, oh, yes, he did die of it because he had a bad life afterwards. And you know what Lyme disease is? It's when you get bit by a tick and you don't know about it, and then you can get problems throughout the rest of your life. Your joints can hurt and stuff like that. And that generally sticks with you for a long time, sometimes your whole life. What this ruling is, I don't know if it was a ruling, what they labeled his death as a homicide is the same as labeling a tick that bit you when you were a little kid as a murderer because you died when you were 95. I'm serious. I'll post a link to this story. It's unbelievable. They ruled it a homicide by the gunshot, what, 30 years later? Good luck proving that if we actually had to prove that in the court of law. But when you don't have to prove anything, I just say, guess why not? Why not try to make it into a political thing? But yes, this is the video. This is the Ice Bucket Challenge. That's some ridiculous politics. Donate money to the ALS Foundation. I'll probably put a link there too if you want. If you don't, I don't know what to tell you. But who am I nominating? First of all, who nominated me? God himself. No, I'm just kidding. It was probably somebody that actually existed. So, nobody. I decided to do it on my own accord. But who am I nominating? I'm nominating Brady's wife. Let's see if we can get her to dump a bucket of ice water over her head. Let's see it. Maybe we can rule her death a homicide in the old bag and get a few dollars. So, thanks for watching, guys. Take it easy.